Welcome back to my little channel. Now, don't worry, I won't only make environmental videos. I've more or less decided to make it my mainstay for a while because I do think this is a serious problem, but I will make other videos in the future as well. I'll promise I'll keep going on about everything that I bloody well please to address. But as I said at this moment, I'm kind of focusing a little bit on the environment. Because as you all have known, and at least heard a million times of these eco-terrorists, the science is settled. Basically meaning that do what we say when we say it because we are correct. But are they? Are they really? Well, obviously they're not correct, but what's even funnier is that the science isn't settled. I mean, don't get me wrong, certain things we know for a fact. For example, was the Earth ever warmer or colder than the world is now? We know for a fact that yes, it once was warmer and yes, it once was colder. Do we know for a fact that the atmospheric CO2 was higher? Yes, we know for a fact that this is true. Did that create an extinction event? No, it may have. We don't know this. I mean, causation and correlation are not the same thing. So there was a period of time with high CO2. Did that kill off everything that lived? We don't know this. There is no reason to indicate that this is indeed the case. We've had higher CO2 in the atmosphere during ice ages. But don't take my word for it. So, obviously, I found this. And I thought this might be interesting for all of us to listen to. Maybe I'm wrong. But these are scientists. Now, the names will go by. You can look at them. You can Google them yourself. I'll not put any links in the chat this time. So that people won't say that I'm pushing people towards a certain idea. No, you can Google it yourself. And we all know how trustworthy Google is. So, hey, in the end, either you will find these people and listen to what they have to say, or Google will just make sure you don't. In that case, I would suggest to use DuckDuckGo. Anyway, let's listen to what they have to say, shall we?
Dr. Tim Ball, an historical climatologist, sent me a sentence, one sentence, which I think is beautiful to end this particular topic if you want to go on to others. He said, "You can mention that it was warmer than today for at least 95% of the last 10,000 years."
These are scientists, people. What they are saying is based in empirical fact. Anyway, let's continue.
That's what he said.
James?
Yes.
I hope people watching this get the idea that there's a lot of data on the other side, that we're all fighting to get in pieces of data because there's so much to say. And I just want to read something that they should read this at the Climate Summit. I think they should really read this today to describe what's going on. And this is from a reliable source, American Meteorological Society Monthly Weather Review publication, that the Arctic Ocean is warming up. Icebergs are growing scarcer, and in some places the seals are finding the water too hot, according to a report by the Commerce Department at Bergen, Norway. Reports from fishermen, sea hunters, explorers all over point to radical change in climate conditions. Why aren't they reading this? And hitherto unheard of temperatures in the Arctic zone. Exploration expeditions report scarcely any ice as far north as 81 degrees.
I'm going to stop it here for a second. What you are hearing are terrible things. Ice is retreating, water is warming, and all these things. But the end of this little clip, or this part of the clip, because I'm going to show you more of the clip, is very important. Now you can see the guys laughing already, so they know what's coming. You don't, so I'm setting you up. Be anticipating a punchline.
Soundings show the Gulf Stream very warm. Masses of ice have been replaced by moraines of earth and stones, and it goes on and on. Within a few years, it's predicted that due to the ice melt, the sea will rise and make most coastal cities uninhabitable.
What year was that written?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. This is 1922. This is November 1922, and this is real. This is not urban legend.
Yeah.
This has really happened. This was really reported. It was warm then. And then guess what happened after that? Of course, it cooled off, and so I just had to throw that. Monthly weather review.
Meteorological Society publication.
These were all facts. It was
Yeah.
extremely warm back then in the polar regions.
And
Well,
So there we have it again. There are empirical facts, and then they extrapolate meaning from those empirical facts that time and again have to be called out because they are proven false. Remember Al Gore a few years ago in his unbelievable lie? Inconvenient truth. Everything he said hasn't turned out. This is true for just about every environmental prediction in the last, let's say, 200 years. Let's say 100 years, because hey, the example he brings is from 1922. So let's start with that one. It's true before that. Scaremongering has always been a way to force people to follow whatever it is the leaders want you to follow. So nothing has changed there. But the lies about our environment, the ecology we live in, have constantly been there. But let's continue. To me, this was a really funny thing. Oh no, 1922. The thing is, a few years ago, they said the same thing. Coastal cities would disappear, water levels would rise. Oh, water levels have been rising. Oh, they've constantly been rising. Okay, why don't we notice this? Why don't we see this in our everyday life? But let's continue a bit. Yeah.
Could I hit one up Tom for a second here? Okay. Tom mentioned 90%. 90% of the time since the Ice Age, the Earth was warmer than it is now. Actually, 90% of the time since creation, the Earth was warmer than it is now, because the geological evidence indicates that over all of geologic history, 4.65 billion years, somewhere between 5 and 10% of that time was there any substantial ice on Earth. And now there is. There's Greenland, Antarctica, and then summer ice all over the planet, well, lots of places. So you're talking 5 or 10% of the time was the planet cooler than it is now.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we're at one of the lowest levels of CO2 in Earth's history. Okay,
Yes,
that's really
very good
important.
point.
I mean, 440 million years ago, when we were in the depths of the coldest period in the last half billion years, we had 1,100% of today's CO2 levels, according to geologic proxies. So, yeah, CO2 is very low right now. They say 40% rise in the last century since 1880. Well, that's peanuts in natural terms.
Well, then
So-
we should be very glad
Wasn't there a
that
Carboniferous?
The carbon dioxide in this room is now around 900. Now, either we should be happy about it or perhaps evacuate the room for fear that there's something bad about it. There's nothing bad about carbon dioxide. The more, the better.
Well, I don't 100% agree with him. The more, the better. But yeah, there's nothing bad about it. As you can see, he was sitting in a room. He had a carbon meter, and they had around 900 parts per million. In a living room, I've mentioned this earlier, in a living room with 4 people, they're probably going to be around 1,000 parts per million as well. And there's nothing wrong with 1,000 parts per million in the atmosphere of CO2. Now, we're going to have a problem once it reaches a lot more. But it has to be a lot more. We're talking about maybe 5 times as much as 1,000. We're talking about 5,000, 10,000. And we can still survive that, but we will notice it. Now, the funny thing is, we already know how to clean air from carbon. So if we have a problem with too much carbon, we can do something about that. Thing is though, plants need carbon. I did say I'll bring another film on that topic, and I will. But I love the whole idea, well, the science is settled. Here we have 5 scientists, and I'm not sure if you could see all the names. You have to just scroll back a bit, and you can Google them. I'll not provide any links because I don't want to be blamed that I'm only cherry picking. You know what? Those are the names. Google them. And I do prefer it if you did. Not because I want to prove that to the world, look how righteous I am, how right I am. No, that's none of the points I'm trying to make here. The point I'm hoping that you will do this, and I kind of do believe people should do this, is not because, hey, knock yourself on the back for being right, but explain to the people on the other side how they are being fear-mongered into believing something, so they will give away their rights. They will give away their money. Because that is the end game. That is the goal. Now, I know there are environmentalists with a strong push for socialism, which indeed is a problem, but there are also environmentalists that do not believe in socialism, that don't care about socialism. But they are authoritarian. They do want to control you, and they do so by fear. Explain to the people around you why, you know what, there are plenty of things to fear in the world. The environment doesn't have to be one of them. And CO2 obviously isn't one of them. Anyway, like, share and subscribe if you feel so inclined. I really look forward to hear from what you have to say. Links, I won't take away any links. If you put a link in the forum down below, the responses down below, and it's a clean link, so not towards violence, not towards sex, not doxing anyone, I won't remove them. So if you think you have something to prove me right or to prove me wrong, by all means, share it. And let's get the conversation going. Let's show to the world that we're no longer willing to blatantly believe the lies they are pushing. Because these eco-terrorists, they are a problem, and our society can't take much more of them. Because there's only 2 options. We do as they say, or they get angry with us. And you know what? If people get angry with me for no reason, they have a problem with me. I don't like to back down. Now that's just me. Don't let me tell you how you should act, but at least be aware of the lies they are pushing. Anyway, as I said earlier, like, share, subscribe if you feel so inclined. I stop rambling now, and I hope to see you all next time.